In this course, we are learning web development from the absolute beginning. And if you've missed any of the other videos, the link to the whole course is in the description. So moving forward here, in the last video, we used margin and padding to create our basic containers for our entire web page and all the content that will go in those containers. In this video, we're going to learn how to actually finish our layout by using different display styles, different display properties in CSS. I'll show you how we're going to do this and what those display properties are by creating 3 divs here in this triple section. So I'm going to do div times 3 and hit tab. That's a nice little thing we can do. And then I get to also tab. I'm going to hit A tab, B tab, C tab. And now, whoops, there we go. And now I actually have some content in there. So I'm going to go ahead and save this. But you can see by default, they get what's called a block layout. And I'm going to start showing you how this all works in CSS and how we can change that default display. I'm just going to target every single div on the page since I only have 3 divs right now. And let's go ahead and give them a background color of red. That way I can actually see what I'm dealing with. So you can see that by default, a div fills out its entire container. If you remember, this section has a padding of 20 pixels on all sides. So the actual inside of the container starts here and goes all the way over to here. And a div by default gets what's called display block. You see, if I change it to display block, nothing happens because it's already display block. I can change this display mode to several different things. I can make display inline. Display inline is going to put them all one in a row, and each box will be the size of its content. So if A gets a lot more A's in it, then it gets larger. But what I cannot do with display inline is actually set a width. So I can't say this is 100 pixels wide. It's not going to do anything. Display inline totally looks at the content inside of that div and sizes itself accordingly. So if you actually want to make it a fixed width, you can do inline block. And now I can set those to be 100 pixels wide. So now each one of them is 100 pixels wide because they're in line, but it's also a block, and I get to tell that block how wide and how tall to be. I can also give it a height of 20 pixels. So then it's going to be 20 pixels tall, which it looks like they're already kind of that high just because of the text. So you have block and you have inline block. And another fun display, which is much more complicated, is called flex. What you have to do for flex is you have to add it to the parent container. So whatever the parent of all these divs is, that is the section tag, you're going to want to make that display flex. So there we go. We have display flex on there. And I'm going to go ahead and get rid of inline block here. Just going to leave those block. And you can see that flex automatically does an inline block type of thing here. So what we're going to do then is we're going to go flex direction. And you have several options here. You can do row, you can do column, you can do reverse row. So let's make it row, and that's what the default is. You can also do row dash reverse. Which is not nearly as useful, and it actually does something a little unusual. It takes the first div and puts it all the way on the right, and then goes backwards from there. You can also tell the flex direction to be column, and that's going to go top to bottom. And as you guessed, you can do column reverse, which seems even less useful. Let's take our top div and put it on the bottom and go backwards from there. But it does have its purposes, I'm sure, to some people somewhere on the earth. So let's go back to flex direction row, which is kind of our default. We just have to do one little magic thing, margin auto. And now, boom, it's automatically going to be flexed across the whole width. So if I stretch my window out here, you can see the boxes stay 100 pixels wide, but they're always going to be flexed across the entire content, and the margins are automatically taken care of. We have a half margin here, a half margin here, another half margin. You can see that it just looks correct. It looks the way that it should work. And there's a lot more options with Flexbox that you can do. Display Flex is called Flexbox. We're doing what's called a Flexbox layout in here. That's very important that you know that. And so that's how we're going to account for those 3 divs that we have going on. I'm going to get rid of some extra A's here. So let's go ahead and move on to a navigation. How would we handle a navigation? It's a little bit different. We actually want to use inline block instead. So let's go over to this header here, and let's add a few tags in here. Let's add an H1 tag. We'll call it title. Let's also add a nav tag. Nav is a semantic tag, so it doesn't do anything. It's just a div. And so what's inside of this, we're going to do a UL with 3 LIs. Let's do a UL, and I'm going to do this. I'm going to do a greater than symbol, li times 3. That says, hey, give me a UL, and inside of that UL, give me 3 LIs. Boom. So that's done right there. Let's say this is going to be our navigation: home, locations, and contact. Let's say we're going to make a website for a bakery. Maybe they'll make awesome cupcakes or something like that. Who doesn't love cupcakes? So this is going to be our top navigation, and then this will be our title here. So let's go ahead and style this navigation properly. I'll go ahead here and do a UL. And the UL is basically, let's do a margin of 0. ULs by default have some margin and padding to them. Padding of 0. And I want these bullet points to go away. So I'm going to do list style type none. That's the magic word for making all those bullets go away. We want no list style type. So that's our UL. And then the LIs, I'm going to give them a display inline block. And now they're going to lay out, boom, 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 just how we'd expect them to lay out. I can also give them a margin. Let's give them a margin of 20 pixels. Ta-da! Now we are set up. Of course, we have a left margin here, so I don't really want that. I have a couple choices for what I can do here. I can give them a 0 top, 20 pixel right, 0, and 0, which also accounts for it. Basically, we're only adding margin right. Or I can also explicitly say margin dash right is 20 pixels and do that as well. That is the exact same thing. So you can also specify margins by just picking one value you want to change. So as you can see, it's starting to look like a website, but there's a few things we need to do from here. First of all, we need to actually learn how to make multiple pages because we're going to need a locations page and a contact page. And we're also going to need to CSS target a little differently. This rule right here, for instance, will apply to every div on our entire page, and that's not correct. So in the next lesson, we are going to learn how to build out the rest of that website with multiple pages and target CSS in a better way. In this video, we are going to take our web page layout that we've been building, and we're going to turn it into multiple pages. We're going to have a home page, a locations page, and a contact page. Also, if you've missed any of the previous videos, the link is in the description. So the first thing we want to do is we want to go over to our tab page here, and we have our index.html, which is the correct name for your home page. And then what we want to do is we want to save this, copy it to multiple different pages. So I'm going to do File, Save As, which as you can see is Command-Shift-S. Let's save as contact.html. Now we have a second page. I can Command-Shift-S and say locations.html. Now I have my 3 pages. Now again, the only name that really matters is index.html. These can be whatever you want as long as you remember their name. Also important, you need to remember if it's capital C for contact or lowercase c. It's called case sensitive. You have to know what all those names are, exactly the letters that make up your file name. A lot of people get hung up there. So now let's go ahead and turn these pieces of text into links. To make a link, you do an A tag. Why it's not a link tag, I have no idea. It's always been an A tag. And the word inside of that is going to be the text that gets shown as a link. So then you add an attribute to the A tag called href, which is hyperlink reference. And then you pick which file you want that to go to, which is index.html. We just made a link to index.html. Whoops, looks like I got an extra little character there. Ta-da! Got it. And so now you can see that it turns purple because I've been there before, and I can click on it and it takes me home, which is where I already am. So that's not very useful. Let's change this to say home. There we go. So now let's go ahead and add an A tag for locations. A. And let's call it locations. And again, this is where the file name comes in handy, or comes in important, is you call this whatever file you want it to go to. So locations.html. So now my locations has turned into a link, and I can click on it. It says title because I haven't changed that. And then I can hit the back arrow. So I'm good. I can go back and forth between my 2 pages now. Let's do the last one of contact. Contact.html, and we'll paste it in there. So now I have 3 links going to my 3 pages. Yep, the contact one works as well. So now I can just copy this code, click here, shift click there, and hit Command C to copy. Now I can go to contact and I can paste all this in here. Get my links. And I can go to locations and do the same thing. Get my links. While I'm at it, locations, contact. Now I can go to all my pages. locations, contact, home. Every single page knows how to link back to every single other page. Excellent. So you actually have a couple options here for how you want to lay out your folder. This works great for a couple pages, but if you had a website with 150 pages, you wouldn't want to see them all down here. You'd want to create folders. So let's create a folder here and call it Pages. Now I have a folder called Pages. Let's start moving stuff in there. Yes, I want to move it. Locations. Do you want to move it? Sure, I want to move it. So now if I go to index.html, let's go back to our home here, and I click on locations. It says, hey, I can't get locations.html. That's because it doesn't exist. This link is automatically going to look for the file in the same directory that my current page is. So I'm on index.html, which is right here, and it's going to look for a locations.html and not find it. So we want it to look in the pages directory. So that's pretty simple. We just tell it pages/locations.html. And there we go. Now this link will work again. Ta-da! We can get back to locations. And you notice if I'm in the locations page and click on home, I can't get pages/index.html because I'm on the locations page and I clicked for index.html and that doesn't exist in my folder. So if you want to look up a folder level, you have to do .. That means, hey, look in the folder above mine. So if I'm in pages right here and I do .. then it's going to go up a level, which is right here. So that's kind of your way of navigating all the different folders. You could have a folder inside of Pages called Pages, Artists, and then artists that start with the letter W. This is if you had just hundreds and hundreds of pages, and it would automatically look in the Pages folder. And then for another folder in there called Artists, and then another folder in that folder called W, and then a file called locations.html. So you can do a lot of different things. You can make this website as big as you want to make it. And then also on locations.html, I could look up a level. So let's say I was in that W folder. I could go up a level to Artists, and then up a level to Pages, and then up a level back to the beginning where my index.html will be, if that makes sense. So let's go ahead and do .. for index.html. And now if I'm on locations, I can go home. Whoops, let's refresh. I forgot to refresh. There we go. Now I can go home and I get there. So I'm at home, go into pages/locations.html and go to .. index.html. And that all works. So for just 3 pages, I'm going to leave it all here. I'm going to drag them all back here. I'm going to get rid of the Pages folder. But that is very important that you know how to do that in code because it messes up a lot of new coders. So I'm going to get rid of all my changes that I made here. And locations.html does not need the ... anymore. There we go. So that's our website. It's set up. But we do have one small problem here, is that every single page has a copy of all our CSS styles. So if I change something here, what am I on? Let's go to index. And if I change this to be pink, because everyone loves pink, then I go to locations. Oh no, locations is red now. So there's a lot of styles you want to share across your whole website, like how your navigation looks, how your footer looks, what the background color is for your page. So we're going to want to get this into what's called an external style sheet. To do an external style sheet, I'm going to right click here and do new file, and you can call it whatever you want, styles.css. You usually want to end it with .css. Normal names that people use are styles or style sheet or main.css. Those are kind of some of the names that people will use. And let me go up here and grab all my CSS, but I don't want that tag because this is not going to be an HTML page. I just want the CSS styles, and then I can get rid of that style tag. So I'm going to go ahead and save that. Now we have no style at all. I'm going to paste all of that into the styles.css. Now all I have to do is bring styles.css into all 3 of my pages. I do that by going to the head. Into the head, I go link. I'm going to add a link tag. I'm going to do link and hit tab. And look, it automatically took care of some stuff for me. Rel equals style sheet. That's very important. And then the href is going to be styles.css. And there you go. You can see that we automatically have our styles pulled into our page. So with this one tag, we can add CSS styles to any page that we want. I don't want to cut it. I want to copy it. Let's copy it there. Let's go to contact.html. get rid of all this style, and paste in my link tag. Hit save, and now contacts should have my pink styles. Excellent. Now let's also go to locations. Same thing. Style sheet, styles CSS. Now whichever page I go to has my styles. What's great about this is now I can change that color from anything. Let's make it blue. And now all my pages automatically have the blue styles that have caught. So this is how you want to manage the styles on your web page. You can also create multiple style sheets. You can make one for the navigation, one for the footer. You can make a bunch of different CSS files and put the CSS in there and import all of them. So you can have multiple links here. You can have 10 links if you want. Although in general, you want to have fewer. Fewer is usually better. So that's how you set up your website to scale, to grow to a lot of pages with CSS. In the next video, we're going to look at how we target things because again, we've got this problem where this div is going to automatically affect every single div on our whole website. So we are going to want to look at CSS targeting next. That's really going to set us up to build out the rest of our website easily.